I just want to give you a few reasons why it's so hard today to share that good news. People will say, I grew up in church and I was taught that you use the Roman road, or you use evangelism explosion, or the four spiritual laws, or some other tactic, and you go and you knock on somebody's door and you share this, and they either believe or they don't, but I can do that. But we don't do that anymore because people don't open their doors when you knock anymore. And so I don't know what to do. And I hear you because I grew up in that same era. And it's been hard. It's been I don't want to complain, but I came into the ministry right about the time that era was ending. So I was trained to do evangelism in a way that was dying out. I grew up in an era when all you had to do was have a nice building and a good preacher and some good music and maybe a few good programs, and people would come to your church and hear the gospel and get saved. And then quickly, America shifted into an environment where nobody's looking for a church except people who are already saved. So how do you reach them? And what I've decided is nothing's really changed. It's still what Jesus said, which is love your neighbor. Because what people are looking for, they're not looking for a church, but they are looking for someone to love them. And when they experience that real love, that faithful, loyal, Christ-like love, that earns credibility that leads to an opportunity. I have a friend that put it this way. I like the way he said it. He said, doing good deeds leads to goodwill, which gives an opportunity to share the good news. Good deeds, goodwill, good news. And you say, well, that takes a long time. Yeah, sometimes it does. A lot longer than knocking on a door and presenting a 5-minute pitch and then walking away. Yes, it's gotten harder in that way, but maybe it's gotten more biblical at the same time, because now we actually have to live out that faith. There are others who would say, well, then I'll just do good deeds, and that's all I need to do. I'll just live a good life. I don't feel all that bold about sharing my faith verbally. I don't feel all that equipped or articulate, so I'll just live a good life. But that's not biblical either. In 1 Peter 3:15, remember, it says, always be prepared to give an answer to anyone who asks you the reason for the hope you have. And that implies two things. First of all, that people are going to be curious about the way you live and the hope that you have. They're going to want to know what's different about you. But secondly, it implies we do have to speak. Always be ready to give an answer. That's that word apologia, from which we get apologetics. And so always be ready to speak. We must, our goal should always be to get to the point where we share the good news with someone who needs to hear it. Some people we may never get there, and some people will share and they won't respond. It happens to me, it will happen to you, but that should be our goal. And then the third excuse people would have is, well, I don't know what to say. I'm not denigrating witnessing training. I grew up in that era, and I was trained several different ways to share my faith. And if you have an opportunity to go through something like that again, that's fine. But I'm going to give you some witnessing training right now. You ready? Do you know the story of Jesus? Could you tell in 5 minutes or less, here's who Jesus was and what he did? All right, number 2, do you know how you first became a believer in Jesus? Could you tell that story? Number 3, can you name some things that are different in your life because Jesus is a part of it? If you can answer yes to all 3 questions, you're trained. Yeah. I'm not saying that there's no fruit in finding other ways and learning new things, but if you just know those 3 things, you've got all that you need to share the gospel. Because when it gets down to it, that's what matters, is who is Jesus and what has he done for you? If you have that knowledge, you can lead someone to Christ. And then the next objection is, yeah, but what if they ask questions I don't know the answer to? And the truth is they will. They do to me. And I've been a pastor for over half my life now, and I still get questions sometimes where I have to say, that's a good one. I don't know the answer to that. But if you'll let me, I'd love to go home and do some studying and get back to you. And I've found that people are okay with that. In fact, they're glad that you actually take them seriously enough to say, I want to do some homework. You don't have to have all the answers. But if you're humble and if you seek the truth and if you're willing to dialogue with people, it's powerful. It starts a relationship. And then finally, I know this is a case with many of you. There's the objection that says, the truth is I don't have anybody in my life to share faith with. I'm going to talk about this Sunday, so you're getting a little bit of a preview of Sunday's message, but I go through the same thing. Believe it or not, I'm not around non-Christians very often due to what I do for a living. It's one of the downsides of being a pastor is I get to spend my time around a lot of really lovely people, but almost all of them are saved. So what do? So here's what I'm going to say Sunday. There are 5 ways I try to make sure that I've got witnessing relationships with in my life. And one is I often pray, Lord, grant me an opportunity today, an opportunity to share my faith with someone. And then you look for those opportunities. And what I believe, and this is, I got this from Henry Blackaby, I didn't make this up. If anybody is talking about spiritual matters or expressing their opinion about religious things, that's a sign that God is working on them. And so whenever I see that, that's an opportunity, and I engage them in conversation and see where that conversation leads. Secondly, I stay in touch with my old friends who aren't Christians. I've got a friend from high school, a couple of friends from college, and some friends I've met along the way that I still pray for, that I still keep in touch with. I don't talk to them every day, not even every week, but I still pray for them. I'm still involved in their lives and praying for their salvation. Third of all, I get to know my neighbors. My neighbors on either side. One side, they're churchgoers. I'm not sure if they're believers or not. The other side, they don't go to church anywhere that I can tell. But those are opportunities there to stay in touch with them and pray for them. And then fourth, I leverage my hobbies. So our hobby as a family or as a couple is sports. And so at football and basketball games, we've got people that sit around us that we've gotten to know. And I've gotten to know their names, pray for them. And some of them aren't believers. That's another opportunity. And then finally, the fifth one is, how can I pray for you? So we all have those people we see on a regular basis. The person who cuts your hair, the person who draws your blood, the person who teaches your kid or coaches your grandson in soccer or whatever. And you know them, but you don't really know them. They're just kind of a part of your life. But when you hear, we're going to have to cancel soccer practice. My grandpa's funeral is next Tuesday. Oh, well, let me pray for you. Or if you don't know what's going on in their life, just ask them. I do this occasionally. After my haircut, I'll say, is there anything going on in your life I can pray for you for? Or the waitress at the restaurant. Carrie and I are about to pray. Can we pray for you about anything specific? And that often leads to a deeper conversation and can lead to a relationship that can lead someone to salvation. So you may no longer work in a field with a whole bunch of people, but you can still share your faith. So don't ever miss those opportunities. You talk about faith over fear. Jesus prayed in the garden, take this cup from me, not my will but yours be done. One of my favorite parts of that story is that when they came, he rose and said, arise, let us go. And he went to them to be arrested. He didn't walk away. He didn't run away. He didn't hide. He went to them. He went to them to redeem us, because that's what he came to do. And so that for us is the ultimate story of faith over fear. Think about that the next time you're afraid and you know that fear is winning the battle. You just stop and say, wait a second, I'm following Jesus. And he got up from his weeping and his bleeding and his praying, and he went straight to the ones who were going to arrest him, straight to the thing he feared the most. And he did it for me. I can do this for him.